was driving down the road in that South Georgia heat, and up ahead there was a man all alone, standing out beside the road, head bent down, hat hung low, backpack on his shoulders. He was walking slow, his back was bent. He seemed to have come a long, long way. I pulled over and he climbed in. With a smile he spoke to me. I am glad you stopped for me. You could have driven right on past. I've been struggling for so long, and I needed someone to notice me. You could have driven past. Thank you for stopping for me. He told me he didn't know where he was going, just up the road. He felt like he was worthless and could not keep a job. His mind was lost in things from the past. He served his country proudly, but just couldn't let those times go. He was all alone and didn't know where to go. I am glad you stopped for me. You could have driven right on past. I've been struggling for so long, and I needed someone to notice me. You could have driven past. Thank you for stopping for me. I sat and listened to what he had to say. I didn't have the answers, but I had some things to say. I told him, thank you for your service, and thank you for your time. I am sorry you had these things to go through, and I wish that I could help. I asked if there was anywhere I could take him, and he just said, as far as you're willing. I am glad you stopped for me. You could have driven right on past. I've been struggling for so long, and I needed someone to notice me. You could have driven past. Thank you for stopping for me. When we got up the road a ways, he looked at me and smiled. Thank you for the lift, son. This will do just fine. He must have seen the sorry in my eyes, 'cause he looked at me and said, it means everything to me just to know someone cares. So thank you for stopping for me.
Well, hello everybody. Happy Memorial Day to you guys.
Hey,
How are y'all doing this evening?
Good. How are you all doing?
Good.
Good to see you all.
Good to see you too. Uh, well, I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day. Hope everybody ate plenty of hamburgers and hot dogs and steak and all that good stuff, but didn't forget the reason why that we have a Memorial Day.
Absolutely.
Mm. I did. I ate hot dogs.
I ate hot
I did
dogs too.
You too.
Tater chips too.
And chili.
Yeah.
Oh, I could have done that too. I didn't. I just did the tater salad and the
Oh, tater salad's good.
baked beans. Yeah,
That
Yeah.
sounds
tater
good.
salad and baked beans.
Sounds good.
So, well, we're only going to do one show tonight. We're going to do this one. And if it runs over a little bit, that's fine. We're not setting any time limits on it or anything like that. I know everybody has had an eventful weekend. It's been a long weekend. And if it runs short, it runs short. If it runs long, it runs long. We just want to. I've a lot of people know a lot of my story on here, but I wanted there's some stuff that I really support and I really want to push out, and I thought this is a great time to do it. And with Joe and Donna on here, I thought that would be able to offer some insight with that, and yeah. So if y'all look down at her ticker down at the bottom, we're talking about veteran suicide today. We lose at least 22 of our veterans in this country every day who just suicide. I lost my own father this way.
Yeah.
And so I've been fairly active in trying to help curtail this. I've spoken to American Legion halls locally and stuff like that, try to get out. And I want to continue that work. But also, what we're doing here on the podcast too is to try to put the word out to everybody. So, I brought this topic up to Joe and Donna earlier today. He's like, well, it's so hard to determine if somebody needs or wants help, and that is one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight. How do you, number one, reach out? And number two, for those that are suffering, how you can accept help. It's two-sided. It's not just one-sided. You can reach out all day long and try, but if someone's not willing to accept, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
So I would like to try to hit that from two different ways. I'm going to let Joe and Donna take over for just a second.
Yeah, Southwest.
I'm hearing voices in the background. Is that?
What, Joe?
I was hearing voices in the background for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my brother-in-law is sitting right here next to me. He's gaming. And
No problem. I think it's well. First of all, Bobby, you want to sit down in prayer?
I thought we should start out in prayer.
You want to start out in prayer, Robert?
absolutely, let's do that. You want to start us?
Well, I'll finish. You start. I'll finish.
Okay.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this wonderful day. We thank you for our country. We thank you for our service members in whatever branch. We also thank you for all of our first responders, fire department, police department, ambulance. But on this day when we celebrate and we remember our fallen veterans, we ask you especially to be with their families. We just lost several, in the conflict in Iran, and be with them, guide them through this, help them with the grief. And while we all celebrate on this day and enjoy the long weekend, I pray that you put an extra burden on every American citizen's heart for these people that have lost their lives serving their country, and for their families. And let us remember and never forget to honor our fallen heroes. And we ask you for all and thank you for all in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Shot my AK.
Well,
Yeah, they
where to start is a. You want me to start, Robert?
Yes.
Well, it's it's not really an easy place to start, but it's
Yeah.
because like we talked about earlier today, and you mentioned it to you sometime, you mentioned it yourself a minute ago, that it's hard to determine who was suicidal. And a lot of times even people who are non-veterans, we've met people who were bright and cheerful. So I remember there's one waitress who was in Moultrie. She was sweet and cheerful, and beautiful she can be. And then one day when they eat, says, "What happened to so? What happened? I don't remember the name, but oh, she died. What she died of? She committed suicide." And so it's a hard thing to gauge, but there are warning signs that that are there, and I'll read them off to you. There's a few that probably would give us some sort of uh, lead into thinking there might be somebody who might be going that direction, and someone who is appearing sad or depressed most of the time is one.
Right. And that's
And there's also a feeling of hopelessness is another sign. Anxiety, agitation, uh, cannot sleep, mood swings, feeling like they have no reason to live. What is their purpose? What am I doing here? You know, and those are signs to be looking at. And rage and anger is another sign to be looking for as well. Um, Also, increasing drug and alcohol use is also another sign because now they're using that to mask their pain and trying to get a release from it, but they're not. It's just making it worse. Um,
My body's on the other side of the.
can I go? Can I continue?
Yeah.
yeah, just keep continuing. I can't talk and I can't leave my thing unmuted. So y'all keep going and I'll be there in just a second, hopefully.
We should.
Someone who's losing interest in themselves or work or anything that even in their own family, um, then also they're neglecting themselves, even their personal appearance, even their own personal welfare. You know, they become somewhat withdrawn from family, from friends, and at times they show violent behavior, uh, like in a rage, like punching a hole through a wall. That's also a sign. Or getting into fights. Um, they're giving away.
I'm going to go set up on the porch. Jim, will you send me an invite?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Now we're seeing a bit giving away things that are most important to them, prized possessions, some of those valuable to them. Even someone that may have been important to their own family at one point. It was handed, could be something that was handed down. Um,
Guys, no
No.
near.
I think the one thing too is to look out for is that all of a sudden they're starting getting their affairs in order in terms of tying up any kind of loose ends or writing a will. And so these are things to look for times. And and so those are kind of warning to look at, and also other possibilities could be, and then the relationship, the job, um, and a loss, even with family, you know. Um,
I think also a lot of times, our veterans come back injured. Some are wheelchair bound, some lose limbs,
Yes.
changes their whole life. I mean, as fathers and husbands, and it's a whole new dynamic to come home and not be able to be the man you were before and to provide for your family and have to rely, for government help and different things due to handicap. And a lot of them, I'm sure, due to these handicaps, can be in pain.
Yeah.
Can be
Which-
in
which-
torment and pain,
which could lead to drugs.
which can lead to drugs and alcohol, but also to suicide. Because I know myself, when I was going through pain due to my spinal cord being compressed by vertebrae, I couldn't sleep. I was in pain all day. At night, it was worse. I just wanted to die. And I honestly think, I mean, it went on for 3.5 months until I got a diagnosis. But just being in pain and not being able to sleep, like I'm sure a number of these veterans with their injuries, you just don't want to go on living. I mean, for me, I'm not a veteran, but just to know what it feels like to be in pain and tormented all day with not feeling well being, having different things going on in your body, you don't want to live. You just want to find a way out. And
And that was a lot of it. I noticed a lot of that with my dad. Um, he didn't sleep well.
yeah,
Or if he did, he'd wake up, he'd jerk up and looking around and everything else, making sure that he was safe.
yeah,
And this went on for years and years and years that he lived there.
yeah,
Um, Barry, that's what we're getting into now, the PTSD. He was wanting to know what role PTSD plays.
right.
My dad pulled 2 tours in Vietnam.
Wow.
In a lot of ways, he never came home.
Hmm.
He was still there.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people that are going through this form of PTSD where they can't let go and they're there all the time. And there's so many things that can set it off, be it a sound, be it a smell. There's a lot of stuff that can just set it off, and you live there and they put up with it as long as they can, and then they lose it and they end up taking their own lives. To me, they died in the war. They've been living here, but they are still victims of that war. They're still victims. Now, is there help available? Yes. Uh, but you gotta be willing to reach out for it, and that's one of our things tonight. How to spot it and how to. So we see some of the signs: sleeplessness, irritability, a general grumpy gerb mentality.
Also, then again, I also the thing I point out was neglecting themselves, their own
Their
personal
physical
health, their
appearance
own
and
personal
health.
appearances, and they might start getting, you can see that because that's visible, you know, and just losing interest in everything. Everything that was important to them, they just lose interest. That they lost a sense of worth, a sense of passion, purpose, and they just don't know what to do. At times like I said before, there's a lot of guilt, shame, sense of failure because they had to do things that they were forced to do,
Yeah,
you know, and 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 some of these things that they had to do was not very pleasant, you know, and I can't speak for them because I'm not a veteran, but I can imagine what they witnessed, what they saw, and what they had to do, you know.
Well, Barry said, we have 911 for emergency. They also have 211 to contact United Way. I wonder if they have a 3 number set aside for suicide or veteran services. Down there at the bottom, Barry,
yes, it's
uh,
988, right?
988, and
Yeah,
then press 1. And if you want to send a text, is 838-255. That's a good question, but we did have the answer for you on that one.
Yeah, and well, we can talk about a little later how we can approach or talk to somebody, and that's the intimidating part. And suicide, our word suicide, can be very intimidating for people to get involved and talk about. You know,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I'm not qualified. I'm just a simple person. You got to be a mental health expert, a psychiatrist, psychologist to talk about this kind of topics. They're not qualified, but that's far from the truth in some ways. And and so in our counseling ministry, we actually met one or two people. Why directly ask them if you feel suicidal?
yeah,
Yeah.
You just have to directly ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Be direct and don't spin it. Don't just because some of the things that we were the way they answered, the way they behaved, I got to think. I got to say it because this could save somebody's life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's something that makes people uncomfortable. And again, if people feel like only mental health professionals could do it. Well, that's not really true because in some way they may have the expertise and the degrees, but we're all somewhat qualified just being there for them, just kind
Yeah.
of a listening ear, and It doesn't have to be complicated. Just simply begin a conversation and says, "Hey, how you doing?"
I have a cup of coffee with someone, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
just to show that you care and you want to spend time with them. Um, I know that men are, you know, they're different. They have a different disposition than women. Women, that sometimes it's easier to say I'm having a bad day, or you know, I'm miserable, I'm upset about this. Women are more
What are you
talkative.
pointing me for?
But we don't
Different
hold
critters.
back, you know. We tell you more than you want to know, you know. We don't know how to make a long story short. You know, we just we spread it out. But men are, it's hard for them to admit that something's bothering them, or that they feel that that's kind of like, I don't know, that's not masculine to say you've got a problem, or that you're depressed, or you know, men's supposed to be tough. They're supposed to be the providers, the protectors, and all that. And to admit they need help is very hard, I think, for men. I think more than women. But that's just my opinion, and we've noticed that even in counseling, it's hard to get a man to, you know, actually open up and speak about what's bothering him, you know, and share it, you know, with someone else. Yeah. What do you think, Robert?
Well, yeah, when I came to y'all, I had already dealt with some of my issues. Okay. And y'all, my issues are not for this show. I mean, it's PTSD related, but
Yeah.
it's you could choose. For me, I'd already dealt with some of it before,
Hmm.
but to actually open up one on one and talk about it is hard. It's not easy. And I don't care how many times you've dealt with it or you've talked about it. It's never easy to dig those feelings back up. But and sorry, but you have to. You can either choose to deal those feelings, dig those feelings back up and deal with them. And it's now this is a time frame. This is a different time frame. You're not in the same time. You had to deal with these feelings the first time around on the fly.
Yeah.
You had to deal with them right then. You had to slap a band-aid on it and move forward. And that band-aid wore off and the wound got infected and now it's just poisoning your whole life. Now, if you got to reopen that wound and clean it out, but then it heals properly, it hurts. It's not easy. It's not fun. But if you have a better quality of life and you learn how to deal with situations better, it's worth it.
Yeah.
You can lose your leg from gangrene if you don't take care of those wounds.
Right,
Hmm.
If you don't go back and clean it out, you can lose it.
right.
I mean, you can lose a big part of your life if you don't go back and clean the mental stuff out. So yeah, it's hard to talk about because it hurts, and it's not masculine to admit that you need help. Especially, it's not masculine sometimes to talk about why you need help.
Yeah.
But until you do, you're still letting you've got a mental infection that's just spreading throughout your body. Is that a good way to put that?
You're poisoning it's poisoning your whole body. Yeah, and your mind.
you know, um, I sat back and watched my dad for years, and I begged him to get help, and I wasn't the only one. I'm fine. I got this. I'm fine. I got this. Don't worry about me. You worry about you. I got me. You know. Um, he was talking about. He had the same attitude for just about everything. I asked him if he was saved one time. He said, "Look, I don't lie. I don't steal. I don't do this. I don't do that. And if God wants to send someone like me to hell, then I don't know if I want to be in heaven." And I'm like, and I finally said one thing to him that kind of cracked his thing on that a little bit. I hope. And I said, if you had a wife and she took care of you in every way possible, she cooked for you, she cleaned for you, when you came in the evening, she talked to you, and just treated you just 100%. But she didn't love you. Would you want her with you? He said, "Well, I know." I said, "Why do you think God is any different?"
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
That kind of that made him back up a little bit. Go, "Hmm." It's
Yeah,
the
no,
only time I ever got him to do that.
yeah, no comeback for that.
No.
That was a good one.
That's very good.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
the way, if you know anybody within your family, a friend or someone you know who's struggling, like Donna said, take them out. A cup of coffee, ask them to join you. Ask them to, you start out simply by saying, "Hey, what's going on? Are you okay? What's up?" It's just the simplicity doesn't mean it's not effective. You extended yourself now to this person. Now you
Yep.
show interest to that person. You want to create an atmosphere where they can open up and trust you and talk to
Yep.
you. And so being present is more important than being qualified. You know,
Yeah.
and so and just sit there and just listen to the story and just speak. Make them comfortable, let them share, and just listen well to what they got to say. And you know, I would say listen more than you would speak,
Yeah.
and don't dominate the conversation, and just let them open up. You know, and just being there, your presence can probably mean a lot, and just begin to have them trust you in these conversations. And don't say you should have done that, should have done don't go into that.
Don't go into the regrets.
Yeah, just sit.
Yeah.
Don't talk much. Maybe you can ask a question, but don't talk much. Just let them do the talking. Just let them get it out. You
Yeah.
know, and then and make the conversation where it's conversation, and they're speaking like a psychiatrist or psychologist. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
How's
How
that
does that
make
make
you
you
feel?
feel? You know.
Yeah.
Oh
The
God,
most
no.
important thing is that you show them that you care about them.
Interest.
You show an
True
interest that you
interest.
care, and that you show yourself as someone who will be there if they need somebody to talk to again down the road.
Yeah.
And make, be supportive. Uh, if you're going to make a comment, make it encouraging.
I know.
Make it encouraging,
Yeah.
and don't be trying to be too emotional. Just stay calm, and remind them that you're there for them. Okay,
Yep.
and just make them decide what they're comfortable with, how to share, what they want to share. And
I think getting them out of the house and meeting them in person, not like just talking over the phone or a virtual thing. I think just that human contact, and you could put your hand on their hand. I, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm so happy that you came out with me tonight and had a cup of coffee. I feel lonely too sometimes. Let's try to do this once a week, or let's get together. Don't let this not be the only time. Why don't you come to Wednesday night church with me? Or I'll pick you up Sunday morning and, be ready 10:30. Joe and I've done that so many times to pick someone up to come to church and then have lunch with them after, take them back home. But just to show you care and for them to be in the presence of other people. And when in Life Spring Church, where we went in Georgia, we had a number of people that had been veterans and who were in alcohol recovery or drug recovery program and came to our church. And we would pick them up at where they lived, on the way,
Yeah.
uh, and take them to lunch with us. And sometimes we paid, and sometimes they paid themselves. But it's just letting them know that you care and that you're here for them, and you see that by coming out and being more social, things are changing. You can see that they're not so depressed, that they're talking more. They're smiling. There's a smile. You look for these things.
and also when you're having a conversation with them, um, and the conversation is getting pretty deep, where And then there's a sense of where they're feeling trapped and overwhelmed, and even yourself are overwhelmed with what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important to ask at that point. I said, man, you've been through a lot. You got a lot on your plate, man. This is how you coping with it, you know?
Yeah.
And then I asked him a question. He says, are you thinking about suicide? And listen carefully how they answer that question.
Well,
And if they say yes, then immediately offer them where to go, offer them help. You know, here, call this number, or see this person, or don't let them give them to make sure they're not fighting this alone.
no,
It depends on how they accept it, okay? But this is what you can do to try to help.
Yeah.
usually,
You know?
I mean, Joe and I, we could, after one meeting with the person, we would, if we felt they really needed professional help, we would recommend them to several places to get a call, just get a free consultation. Maybe, a lot of times we felt that they needed medication,
Yeah.
that to help them. They needed something to take the edge off. We can't prescribe medicine, but we would recommend
The main,
where they
sorry.
needed to go. You know what I mean? To get the professional help as well as us ministering to them. We wanted them to get the best care possible.
And that's a good point because we may not be the best person qualified to help them in that very moment. If you let them know that, what they're going through and that you care about them and say, well, I'm here to do what I would do to help you. If I lead you to the right place or to the right person, the right people, or the right ministry or whatever it is that you're being helped with, be a resource for them,
We would recommend
or leave
addiction.
it to resources.
Yeah, we would recommend them often to various resources, addiction recovery programs and things, and we would give them numbers to call, or we would call and say, do you have any openings? We have someone that may be interested in coming that might need help right now.
Give them that information you see at the bottom of the screen there. Give them that number, tell them to call somebody.
Yeah,
Or if it's getting to the point where but just
Yeah.
but right there, that number,
That's what Barry was just asking.
yeah.
And also, just so it's out there, you can call any VA center also, and they'll talk to you and they'll help you. If you're not happy with the one that you're going to, call a different one. You don't have to call that one. You
Yeah.
call any VA hospital, they will help you, and they will get you on the path. But
and I think that's covered. What doesn't the VA cover that counseling services? I would
Yes.
think that's part of the
Yes.
benefits.
Um, but therein, you have to get people. Now, see, here's the other side of this coin. We're all wondering how to help somebody else, but as a veteran, how do you help yourself?
Mhm.
How do you say, I need help? Let's face it, these are tough guys.
They
Yes.
are.
These are very manly men, and they've gone through a very tough situation. They're trying to figure out how to cope with it. A lot of times, they're also trying to figure out how to become a civilian again and live that life because it is two different lives, believe me, between military, being in the service, and being out of the service. And now all of a sudden, you're in a situation where everything's backwards for you and you're coping through, and it's angry. You don't like what you're seeing. You're used to one life. Now you're having to learn another life. But, and everything, you have all this pressure weighing down on you from the outside. And it just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. How do you, but you're this tough guy. You're going to handle it. I got it myself. How do you ask for help?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's just how much can you handle? It's a choice, like everything else is a choice. And,
Well, I think with depression, it reaches a point where you can't pull yourself out. And when you feel yourself sinking deeper and deeper and deeper, and you start having these dark thoughts, that's the time you better get some help right then. Don't
Yeah.
let it get any deeper.
but they can let the pride and the manliness get in the way of that, and it's just it comes down to an individual. How
Yeah.
badly they want to escape this. Everybody, I mean, here's the thing. Well, let me make this one point. I'm going to not in a spiritual sense.
Yeah.
And whether these veterans or believers or non-believers just want to understand that not just is not just a physical, but it's also there's a spiritual side too. There's an enemy that wants to keep you in that shit too.
Yeah.
To make it give you that because you know you're wide open, you're vulnerable, you're wide open, and all these thoughts are coming to your brain. I'm worthless. I got no purpose. What good am I? Why am I so around? What? I mean, you know, and then that heavy sense of loneliness, and knowing that you're in a position to where you are vulnerable. That's when enemy likes to come in and attack and keep you bound for the rest of your life until you do commit that act. To the point now you have no, you lost your self worth, your self respect, you lost everything. And so know this again. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, but I can tell you this: there is another world out there. There's one who wants to help you and save you, and there's one who wants to kill you.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
not, and that's not make believe. That's the truth. And so
well,
the one who's giving you all that negative stuff in your brain is the one that likes to seek, kill, and destroy, and
yeah.
keep you bound at that for life. And so the choice is it's not easy. You know, you gotta rise up from the ashes and fight this thing through and get the help that you need because it's there's hope,
Yeah.
and the hope's got a name. His name is Jesus.
Absolutely.
There's hope.
And
Well,
Jesus knows everything. He knows what we've done. He knows where we've come from. And with the military, it's hard. I mean, you're given orders. You've got to go out there and kill people. I mean, you don't, you know what, or you be killed. I mean, you're in that war, like the Vietnam War. It's not like war is today. You know, it's one on one. We don't just shoot a missile. You know, it's body contact. You know, it's hard. And you can imagine the I can imagine your dad, Robert, seeing these visions in the night when he's sleeping. You know, his vulnerabilities are down. You're back there and you have regrets and you keep wanting to change something and you can't change what's happened. You shoulda, you coulda, you woulda. You know what I mean? You
And
can't.
also, by the way, when they get enlisted, they're kids.
Yeah.
Never true. They're kids, and they're going to be thrown into us as kids, and don't have the same, you know, I don't know what the right word is, but you know what I'm saying? They haven't experienced
No.
life, and now they're just coming out of high school, and they haven't really experienced life, and then they go out in the war,
Get drafted in the war.
and then they see all the others out there, and 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 so you think this could probably what it's all about, you know? And that's the other thing too is that they've been set up as kids. They're not mature men. They haven't experienced life. They haven't, you know, they just barely coming out of parents'
Out
their
of
own
school.
bedrooms and going right into fight war. You know, and they're not mentally prepared or experienced life enough to handle that, and that's why they come back mentally distressed.
Yeah.
No,
My
they
goodness.
can't.
Well, I would like Jennifer to help me, and I want to talk about. We've talked about my dad
Yeah.
and what he went through. I would like to talk about two other vets. Let's talk about your dad. No?
And I couldn't get the bag to go back.
Can I help?
No.
I've met him. Can I talk about him?
You can talk about him, yeah.
Shut this.
Okay. I met Jenna's father. He was very calm. He was one of the nicest people that you could ever hope to meet. You could tell that his faith was rooted just in talking to him. And he cared about the people around him. And I didn't see any of the signs. And that's one of the things that kind of threw me off. You know, when I met other people's dads compared to mine. You know, and your dad served during Vietnam as well? Or
Uh,
was he?
I think it was, yeah, I think so. But I don't think he actually went and had to fight. He was more like in the office part of it, I think.
Okay.
So he didn't have to go through what all like my Uncle Billy had to go through. Now, my Uncle Billy, he was in it. He was in the army. He was in the army until he retired. So he fought through all of it. I know. Daddy wasn't, um,
Okay.
in the middle of like everything. So he kind of had it easier, than
Yeah.
my Uncle
Well,
Billy did.
how did your Uncle Billy fare afterwards?
Well, I guess okay because I wasn't around him a lot. We just saw him, maybe once or twice a year. So I mean, and Jill, his daughter, he had a daughter and three boys. She's never really said anything, that he's like suffered, but I'm sure he probably, had something. Um,
But
but I mean, he stayed in like, when he got out, he was like an EMS, and then he was like at the airport doing stuff. I mean, he kind of always stayed around doing something with security, with medical, and and so I guess
yeah.
he handled it okay.
Well, maybe finding that structure in a job that was similar to the military helped.
Maybe so.
You know.
He did lose three fingers where they were loading the missile, and they closed the
Ooh.
thing down, and it cut three tops of his fingers off.
God.
Ow.
So,
That's not cool.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And then we got my granddaddy, not on my dad's side, on my mom's side. He was in World War II.
Yeah, my dad too.
Yeah. And he fought from Normandy all the way across Europe.
Wow.
He was at the Battle of the Bulge. I mean, all the way across.
Wow.
And he went through some horrible stuff there. Um, and I know growing up, I never saw that. I never saw it. The only thing that I saw, I hate to say this because it's a horrible comparison, but I had seen my mom stumble when she had been drinking and staggering, you know. And at night, every night, when we'd walk up from the meat house to my granddaddy's house, he would sway and kind of stagger around. I'm like, "You're not drinking, I know. Why are you staggering around?" And he told me, and he told me about falling beside a tank, and the tank ran over a landmine, and it popped his eardrum.
Wow.
So now at night, it's hard for him to keep his balance because you rely on your hearing in that too, and it messed up his center of gravity. So and I remember him talking about that. I saw all of his ribbons uh, and all this stuff from the war and everything, but it never really clicked. He didn't. But my grandfather was deeply faith rooted as well. So it seems like faith and structure, especially the faith part.
Yeah.
Uh, and, mm. So is there, well, long and the short of it, all you veterans out there, we love you.
Yes.
And we don't do shows like this lightly. And I sure enough don't. It's hard for me. Um, we lose 22 veterans in this country every day. 22 a day. How many? That's 22 families every day affected by this that lose a loved one to veteran suicide every single day. That's 365 times 20 is how many families that are affected by this every day. You know, it's we can't be afraid to ask people, and people can't be afraid to ask. I mean, it's brotherly love. I mean, we take care of one another, but you have to take care of yourself too. You have to reach out, and we have to be able to hear that. We got to use our ears. They have to use their mouths, and we both have to use our hearts.
Yes.
Um, you know, but this is Memorial Day, and we're celebrating our fallen heroes. And these victims of veteran suicide, to me, are fallen heroes. They never came home from the war. They've carried it in their hearts and their minds, and they've carried it with them. They've never let it go. They don't know how. They can't ask for help or won't ask for help. The people around them need to help and look. Now, I know we can't be responsible for other people's actions. We can be there to say, hey, we love and care about you. You're important. You have value.
Absolutely.
And I notice there are a number of veterans have these emotional support animals. I've even seen it here in Texas. You know, we've seen a veteran come in a restaurant and with his dog and sit down and eat, and we made sure we went over and thanked him for his service. And you know, I could tell it meant a difference to him, that we appreciated the fact that he was, you know, we could tell, and that, you know, and he had his support dog there. And I mean, I'm glad that they're offering these animals to these veterans,
Yeah.
because I know myself, my dog, you know, getting through this time with losing my mom and all these, he's been really important. He's been by my side. He knows I'm upset. I mean, he follows me everywhere, and they need all the help they can get, whether it's asking for an emotional support animal, you know, having the VA help with getting that animal, whatever it is they need.
Tell them how to get one.
Now, I was able to get a letter from a psychologist,
Mental health
a
professional.
mental health professional
Okay.
that I was talking with, and he wrote a letter for me. And so that affects you being able to even rent an apartment. If you have an emotional support animal, they can't charge you a pet fee or a deposit
Or pet rent.
or a pet rent, and they have to allow pets with your emotional support animal, whether they allow pets or not. That
Okay.
will keep you from having an apartment. You know, if
Yeah.
he is emotional support animal. So that's just something we learned recently because I asked about it. You know, and Joe and I were looking into apartments, and also in addition to that, you don't have to pay the pet fees. You don't have to pay the deposit. You have to pay the monthly fees, and they have to accept the animal,
Right.
whether they allow pets or not. So it opens
Sure.
up a lot more doors than there was before.
So I can have an emotional support fish.
You could have a cat too.
Your cat can be.
Your cat can be. It doesn't have to be a dog.
He's annoying sometimes. If I get annoyed with the fish, I leave the room. They don't follow.
Oh, I know. When my son wanted a pet, that's the first thing we got him when he was 2 years old. Two goldfish, Monstro and Cleo, we call them. And
Hmm.
they got really big. They'll get as big as the little fish bowl holds, you know, or the tank.
Wow.
But I just wanted to put that out there. People may not be aware
Yeah.
how simple, really, to get that done, and that can make the world of difference to someone that's alone or lonely or needs a companion.
Yeah.
And,
And you know, there's churches out there too.
Yeah.
absolutely.
If you need a job or you need something to do or you need a purpose in your life, go to church. They'll find you something to do. I guarantee you.
Sure
Oh,
will.
yeah.
You can go knock on a door. There may be someone else out there that's struggling like you that needs you to reach your hand out to.
That's right.
You know,
That kind of helps you get out of yourself a little bit and extend the hand to somebody else, maybe another fellow veteran,
Yeah.
you know, and this guy could turn out to be a best buddy, you know, and supporting each other. See, the thing is, the worst you could do is stay by yourself
Yeah,
and shut the
isolating.
world around you.
Isolating
That's what the
yourself.
problem is. You end up shutting yourself down, away from the world. You've lost interest. You lost everything. you just feel like, you're not reaching out. But please, if anyone out there's listening, please reach out. You're not supposed to fight this alone. There is help out there. There's people that care. There are support groups out there. Just get out of yourselves and just go somewhere.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody.
And also
But
volunteer.
you're not meant to fight this alone.
Get
Yeah.
out there. I can't tell you how many guys from the drug addiction, alcohol hospital that had been going through the program and got out and were living near our church. We had some houses for rent and we rented to some of them. And just volunteering, like down the food bank, just get out there so you're among people, volunteer the food bank, the soup kitchen, whatever it is. I remember when Joe and I had decided at the church, we wanted to have a yard sale at the church to raise money for a benevolent fund because we didn't have one. And people kept coming to the pastor asking him for money for their light bill. So we asked the pastor if we could have a yard sale. Everybody donates stuff to the church. All the money raised goes directly to the church, to the benevolent fund. And I can't tell you, Joe and I would have never been able to do it on our own, but we had all these men from the Turning Point Hospital that had, were going to the church or lived in one of the houses near the church, came and helped us set up everything, helped us clean up everything, and they were so happy to do it.
Yeah, they made them feel useful.
It
Made them feel
gave
like
them
they,
feel good,
Yeah.
Wow.
and so
and it was a huge success thanks to them. I mean, Joe and I did the best we could. We're just two, but they made a difference. And whatever we weren't able to sell, we donated to another church for their purposes, and they loaded everything on the truck when that truck came. They helped that church too.
let me tell the viewers this also, the ones who are non-veterans. If you're at a restaurant or you're in somewhere where you see a veteran, you can tell by the cap or maybe they're wearing a certain garb, you can tell they're veterans.
Yeah.
If you know someone in your circle is a veteran, shake their hand. Doesn't matter doesn't matter where they serve,
Where
they're veterans. Period. Shake
Yes.
their hand and tell them thank you for your service. They're the reason why we have our freedoms today.
Yes.
Christ for you, just as Jesus sacrificed his life to give you salvation. They sacrificed as well.
and
Yes.
and there's a lot of women veterans now too. And
Yes, there are.
in the military, and we were able to go and thank a young woman that must have been in her 20s, had her uniform on, and I thanked her for her service and what she was doing for our country. She looked so surprised she almost choked on her food. But there's a lot of women out there now in the military making careers of it as well.
hmm
And so
Well, I saw this old guy the other day, and he was wearing a CVN 70 hat, which is for the USS Carl Vinson, which is an aircraft carrier, which I have the privilege of serving on. And I walked up to him, and he had a senior chief emblem on his hat, and I was like, senior chief, you served on board the Vinson. Yeah, I served, and he told me the years, and I'm ashamed that I don't remember exactly the years, but it was like 4 or 5 years before I ever got on there. And when I got on there, it was in dry dock in Bremerton, Washington. And he was talking about, and I said, well, I was on board the Vincent too, and we were talking about it and everything. Then he found out I was on it while it was in dry dock. He said, you shut up. He said, you got to see it all the way out of the water? I said, Senior Chief, I did. He said, oh, what did you got to tell me? And we sat down and we talked about it for 20 minutes.
it's so cool.
So, I mean, it was an awesome conversation, but and I just recognized the CVN 70 on it, but if you're not in the military, you probably wouldn't recognize it. But if you see anybody with those hats on, generally they'll be proud to talk to you about whatever is on that hat.
Yeah.
If you want to ask them what that is a great conversation starter.
Yeah.
What's a CVN 70? Well, it's an aircraft carrier. It's a great big one. So, but yeah. So, to all of our veterans out there, thank you. Y'all are important. We have a generation that's coming up now that is all about gimme, 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 and not about what can I do. They want everything handed to them. They don't want to earn these things. They expect that they feel like they're entitled to these things, not having to earn them.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
I feel like during their growing up years, I think I'm an advocate for these young kids today. See how some of them are going through life and what they, the road they're taking. And I think they should make it mandatory or at least serve at least 2 years of military time during their teenage years.
yeah,
I think it change a lot of people.
I think it would too. I absolutely think it would.
No, our son was in the Marine ROTC in high school,
Even that'd be good.
and that made a
Yeah.
difference in him. That helped him tremendously. Just being in there, understanding where this, about the military and marching and all. It helped him become better in the band. Actually, he ended up being brass captain because he was the best marcher, and he got everyone lined up. And
And it helped them make a baseball team too, because it wasn't because of his hitting. Well, he did well, but the coach, I like him because he calls me sir.
called him
Yes,
sir,
sir.
sir. He had respect, and
He
he
showed respect,
wasn't used
and
to
the
that.
coach liked that.
And we actually saw the coach years later, and he remembered our son because he was such a respectful young man. They don't teach manners anymore. They don't teach respect, and that's something we need to get back to those values. And yes, ma'am, no, sir. That's not just shouldn't be a Southern thing. That should be everywhere.
Maybe not two, maybe just 1 year during the high school years,
Well,
just to help them, mature
well,
and go up. They should make it, they should instill into a program to where, you know, they realize
They
it's not,
earn something.
that's right.
well,
You know?
there's a lot of men grow up without a dad, and they don't have that masculine role model. A lot of single moms, raising kids today, and whether it's through divorce or whatever, but men need other men to help them grow, into their manhood, to direct them in the right direction. They need a role model. And I think it's important for men if, that we should help a lot of these women that are raising these children, if we could be a big brother or something, to help these young men, become
Yeah.
grow to their full potential. Help them, lead them, direct them, guide them, so that they don't make mistakes. They don't end up in trouble. That they would have someone looking out for them.
And I think that's another part where the church can help as well. Um, you know, we have a lot of times in the Sunday schools, and not a lot of people, as many people go to Sunday schools used to. I know that, and they should. But um, there should be some group, a men's group or something like that. We get so focused on having children's groups and men's groups. Why don't we put them all together? Let's have the grown-ups and the young and the kiddos with the boys with the men and the girls with the women. I'm not advocating for sexism here, but little boys have problems that little girls don't, and little girls have problems that little boys don't. And the women understand that. The men don't understand the little girls' problems a lot of times, but the women normally do. Just like a lot of times the women don't understand the little boys' problems, but the men will. I think that would be a great type program.
Also,
Yeah,
I'm going to say
absolutely.
something that's probably it could get me in trouble. And I don't mean to say it as critically.
Okay.
And this, not just pretty much to all most of the churches. I understand the need to save people overseas and different parts of the country. I'm all for that. And we'll raise money, some people off here and there. But how about we spend some of that money towards people here in need, including especially our vets?
Yeah.
How about we do something like that? Don't get me wrong, I understand. I'm not being critical, I'm just asking a question. We send money over there, people over there, things over there, which is fine. God said, salvation's for everyone. I
Yeah.
fully support that. But there are times where
Absolutely.
yes, that's important. There are times where we spend too much focus on that, and let's focus on what needs are here in our country.
Mm-hmm.
Even
So let's focus.
homelessness and
Home.
stuff.
I mean, people homeless are vets.
A lot
Unlike,
of them are vets.
You know.
unlike me.
You know. And again, I'm being critical. I'm just.
No, that's, uh, I want to bring up a point with that, but I was getting mauled here.
Okay, let's see who you got with you right now. Oh
Uh,
my goodness.
don't tell me he can't be your emotional support animal. Look at him.
That's very
He's
good.
loving his
Oh my
daddy.
goodness.
You see that face right there?
Oh, you can't
Yeah,
resist
Oh.
definitely.
He's your-
Definitely emotional support
That's
guy.
right.
He is.
Chuckers.
And I talk about him all the time. When I
Yeah,
have seizures, he's right there.
yeah,
When I come back around, hey, he is right there, laid on me, bird, and it is a comfort.
yeah.
It just. Mm.
You're going to say something on top of what I was saying?
Yes. All right. I know within my home here, 4 or 5 abandoned houses within just a mile or two of where I live. There's 4 or 5 completely abandoned. Jennifer, have you passed any abandoned houses that you're not
One
going
thing that kills me, we used to have a mental hospital. And on this property with this mental hospital, which now is, I think, with the correction center now, has a ton of houses on it. I don't know what the houses were for, if it was for people that worked at the mental hospital at the time. They're just sitting there. They have sat there for years.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it's like, why can't those houses be fixed up for people that need a house?
Mhm.
Because they've been sitting there for, I know, 15, 20 years since this mental hospital has shut down.
Okay. What was
Y'all
it?
seen
What?
y'all
What?
seen anything like that
Yeah.
in Texas?
It's
Not in the
hard,
parts we live, but it's. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's out there. Yeah, it's out here
but
too.
there's so many homeless
Probably
people
downtown
here.
Dallas.
Well, there's
Yeah.
so many homeless people just in the McKinney area
Yeah.
that we see. I mean, women, men. I mean, it should never be. I mean, in a
No.
rich place like this place, and that there are people still, when the weather gets bad, trying to get some food or find a way to safety and shelter. And even with animals, a lot of them have an animal with them too,
Yeah.
so they've got that animal to take as well. It just disturbs me, and I know there's so many homeless vets across the country. We used to see them in Tallahassee a lot with their
We,
signs.
we saw a lot of them
You
in.
know?
Yeah.
We went to
Mm.
Pensacola. We saw
Yeah,
some of them. Yeah.
Pensacola. And
I used to see them in Panama City sometimes.
so
But
we
you know,
need to do better with
we
that.
have houses that are collapsing and dilapidating because nobody's living there.
Yeah,
They're abandoned.
right.
I mean, the bank or somebody has foreclosed on these. They've gotten their money, now they've written it off.
Or
How
the
come
county, the county
you know,
could own them because they haven't paid their taxes. You know, so
Yeah.
somebody's owning them now. Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
shame, Robert, for sure.
that could go to supporting a vet,
Yeah,
instead of, just writing it off as a loss. Okay, take your loss, but then do something with it. Do something positive with it. Instead of just let it sit there and rot away into nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
Right.
have to just tear it down and start from the ground up. You
Yeah.
know, it's,
Well, the land is it's
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah. And like this place like Kenneth is talking about, you're absolutely right. I mean, how many houses are out there that people lived in? 20?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I mean, they're nice houses. I mean, brick, most of them are brick.
oh
Wow.
my gosh.
And so they just let them sit there.
That'd be a good
Wow.
thing to talk to the Chamber of Commerce about that. What can be done, or go to, like in Moultrie, we were able to
What
go
about-
to
what-
the meetings.
what about
when
the
county
leaders?
met.
What about the leaders of the community, like the mayor, city council?
Yeah.
County, why would they do anything about it? Obviously see it, obviously they know it's there.
Yeah.
Why do they let it sit there? They could do something about it too.
But would they? Here is the flip side of this. Yeah, number one, it's money,
Yeah.
and number two, let's face it, a lot of these veterans they don't want to bring homeless people into their county and city, and that's a very selfish attitude. But they don't. A lot of times, they just don't want them there. They would rather move on and be somebody else's problem, and that's why a lot of the veterans feel like nobody's interested in helping them,
Right.
and nobody cares. Is that pass
But
the buck?
We
Huh?
let them down. We let them down, you know, and
Yeah.
it's just a shame. And now in Moultrie, one of the churches, it was one of the bigger churches, bought a house that got it at an auction or something, and they've renovated it and they fixed it up, and now women who are homeless are able to go there and live in that house. And I don't remember how many, but I mean that's something that needed to be done.
and it wasn't just housing them. They taught them the word to try to help them.
Try to help them find work,
Yeah,
try to
it's
get them
become useful
Bible study.
citizens.
They're helping them get back
And they were
into life.
required to be in church.
Yeah.
That sounds like the program that we had on the show,
Yeah. Hope.
Hope Farms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, that is another great organization too that we're going to be supporting around here too. But yeah, it's it's 6 months I think or a year before they even let you get a job that you're in this program, and a lot of it is recovery from a lot of different things.
And they'll help you
So
get skills. They'll help you
yeah,
get skills so you could be out there in the outside world and doing something.
And that would be
yeah,
wonderful to do that and renovate some of those homes for the veterans. I mean, they deserve a roof over their head. They gave it
yeah,
all for us. The least we can do is give them a place to live, their latter years, in
yeah.
a safe place.
You know, and, and I'm gonna, yeah, we need y'all. We need these veterans. We need those for an example. Our kids need them. Our
Yes.
kids coming up now, instead of just these guys were willing to put it all on the line for what they believed in, for their country. A lot of these guys volunteered to serve. My granddaddy was not drafted.
Yeah.
He volunteered. When he got his letter, he was on the let's go. He said it was the best thing that ever happened to him.
Yeah.
And he was afraid they wouldn't let him in because his eyesight was so bad. So he stopped on the way up there and spent however much, it wasn't much, it was back then, to get a pair of reading glasses so he could see good enough to do it.
Oh,
And they
good.
thought that he was trying to pull a fast one over on them because he had on these brand new glasses, acting like he couldn't see. Well, they just pushed him right on through to the front of the line. Grandpa was tickled to death. He wanted out of South Georgia.
Oh, well, that could have been a ploy back then. I wouldn't have thought about it. The vision thing.
But
That's
he
so
was
cool.
ready to go.
Yeah.
And the only option they gave him was, did he want to fight in the Pacific or do he want to fight in Europe? And he decided that Europe would be more like the States and where he grew up. So he went to Europe. And uh, uh, um, but yeah, my Aunt Rita wrote a book about it. She got him to open up.
That's good.
And yeah,
I
so
know my dad got citizenship because he spoke fluent German. He enlisted after high school. This is for World War II. He enlisted after high school, and because he spoke fluent German, They sent him to Moultrie, Georgia, where the German war prisoners were, and he was an interpreter there. And
okay.
he joined the band. I mean, he after the war he was able to get citizenship because of his service to the Air Force, and so he loved it. And he said the German war prisoners, they worked the cotton tobacco fields. They were so well treated that after the war they came back to Moultrie with their families so they could see where they were imprisoned. and the Bible Belt, right? And
Wow.
my dad said it was a great experience for him to be able to. Had he stayed in Germany and his mother and sister had not sent him, had it sent him to New York to be with an aunt of his, he would have been in Hitler's army, and they didn't want him to be in Hitler's army, so he was spared. He said it was the best experience of his whole life being in the Air Force, in the United States Air Force.
Now, yeah, this place in Moultrie is called Spence Field. Was it always called Spence Field?
Spence Field, it was always
Spence
Spence. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But then-
maybe we can go
Yeah.
visit there sometime.
Yeah. It's
Moultrie's not that far from me. I can get to Moultrie.
Well, now, what is it now?
it's a little airport.
Yeah, it's an
Some
airport out there
smaller
now.
planes come in and land. You know, the little
They
planes.
have events like, what is that? Ag Expos, they have them every
They
year.
have the ag
Yes. And if y'all come back to Moultrie,
Yeah.
we're going to do the Ag Expo eventually over at
Absolutely.
Moultrie. We're going to go. Go Fry Podcast. I got two goals. We're going to be at the Ag Expo in Moultrie, and we're going to be at the Georgia State Fair in Perry.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely is.
Okay. Very
Me and this
interesting.
one right here, we're going to be there. We're going to be, look at us.
I get to see the person.
Oh.
Anyway,
We'll make
love
some
you.
noise.
Do what?
We'll make some noise.
We will. Look at her new hairdo.
I like
Yeah.
it very much.
Oh, didn't
Good.
think I'd notice it, did you?
Oh,
Yeah, cut it off.
I
I
like
know.
it.
Wow.
Notice in the show, but
It's a nice length because you can still put it in a little ponytail.
yeah,
When it gets hot, that's all what I said. Just leave it long enough so I can put it in ponytail.
it's
It's
cute.
not- Looks cute.
That's the same thing me and Joe do.
Yeah.
So
I'm
cute.
sorry, Joe and I.
I think that we have a lot to think about and talk about it. Maybe that's something we can bring up, you know, and Joe and I get back to Moultrie, what we can do for veterans that are homeless and what can we do about finding permanent shelter for them. And
Oh man, that would just be.
they think about everything else, but what about our vets? They've been forgotten, and we can't let that happen.
So, well, I tell you what. Well, thank y'all so much, and Joe, I'm gonna get you to close us out in prayer, if you would, and we're gonna play the national anthem as we go off tonight.
That sounds
So we're gonna do that. So
okay.
after the national anthem, we will see y'all tomorrow night.
Amen. And also, we're going to continue Bible study on Thursday, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
Bible study is on Thursday.
I just want everybody to know
Our
that.
Memorial Day special.
Father, we thank you, Lord, for this time together, Lord. And I know this is a topic that was near and dear to Robert's heart and all our hearts, Lord. We pray that the ones who viewed us tonight, there are veterans out there watching. Please do not neglect yourselves. Get the help that you need. We love you. We care about you. God cares about you, and God loves you. And we thank you again for the sacrifice that you made for us and the freedoms that you gave because of your sacrifice. And Lord, the ones who are out there who are struggling, we pray, Father, that you cover them
Yes.
and send people to their path. And just a friendly handshake or hello, just to take up a cup of coffee, just to have someone that they can talk to and just be a listener for them, Lord. Is a great means a great deal to them. And I pray, Father, that you bring those people in, Father. Bring them in to your kingdom, Lord. Give them opportunities to live. Give them opportunities to know you. Give them opportunities so they can be saved and know the Lord Jesus, Father. And you send workers out there for them, Father, to get them the help that they need. Lord, we ask you this, Father. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well, I hope everybody has a great and amazing Memorial Day weekend. Don't forget the reason why we celebrate this weekend. Joe, Donna, thank y'all so much, and thank y'all for letting me kind of pick a topic tonight.
Sure, by name.
Thank you for having us.
That's all about. We're here to,
Yeah.
if something you did at heart, we need to bring it out.
And Jen, thank you so much for letting me pick on you and keeping me straight and everything else. She does a lot more keeping me straight than what y'all realize.
Oh, I know she is.
Yeah.
All right.
Y'all
Well-
have a great rest of your night, and thank you for having us. And
Well, happy Memorial Day to everybody.
Memorial Day.
Y'all have a great rest of your
God bless
week,
you.
and we'll see you Thursday.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. So here's our national anthem, and we will see y'all next week or
Okay.
Thursday. We'll see
Thursday.
y'all tomorrow night. Then we'll do the Bible study on Thursday.
Okay.
Good night.